Heave-ho, lads, the storm's in sight. Heave-ho, through the black and white. We fear no gale, we curse no sea, for merry, merry men are we. The sails are taut with morning mist, the stars are lantern light. She rides the waves like a dream set free, and thunders through the night. Oh, heave-ho, lads, the storm's in sight. Heave-ho, through the black and white. We fear no gale, we curse no sea, for merry, merry men are we. The wind that howls, the
Welcome back, you bunch of survival-obsessed nutters. Health and safety time. Yeah, for a broadcast. Yeah, I know. Mad, isn't it? Anyway, this week's all about the sea. Big waves and possibly spotting more unexpected visitors than Brighton Beach on a sunny bank holiday. So, if you're anywhere near the coast, make sure you've got armbands. Not for you, for your emotional support dog. Your nan's knitted jumper, for warmth, but won't double as a buoyancy aid and is a crime against fashion, and a big stick for poking suspicious swimmers in mankinis and the odd jellyfish. Right, enough from me. Here's the bearded man himself, Dougie, with tonight's show. It's episode 8, Waves, Wind and What's That Floating, Coastal Prepping with the RNLI. It's all yours now, Dougie. Take it away.
Welcome to Proper Prepper FM, broadcasting live from the middle of nowhere with nothing but a whiskey, a dodgy microphone, and far too much free time. This is the show where sarcasm is currency, duct tape is gold, and your host is, well, Dougie. So get comfy and lower your expectations, because here comes another half hour of whatever this is supposed to be.
Cheers, Dave. Always good to start with your warped and fishy take on maritime safety. Welcome back to Proper Prepper FM, the only prepping show where your host once built a storm shelter out of a wheelie bin and duct tape and lived in it for 2 days because I dropped my bleeding front door keys in the silage tank. If you've got a coastal survival tip, a boat disaster, or a I nearly drowned story that ends funny, email ppfmbroadcast@gmail.com or call 074-9747-1454. If it's got seagulls in it, then even better. Now, today, we're going coastal. That's right. Prepping for life by the water. Storm surges, coastal erosion, the odd container ship blocking your view, and yes, unexpected arrivals from across the waves. And to help cover this, our first ever on-location report, please welcome Felicity Felatio, I know, a bit of a mouthful. She's posh, she's well-spoken, and she's currently somewhere on the south coast. We'll hear from her in a bit. I've no doubt she's overdressed and underprepared, bless her. But first, some real talk about coastal prepping. A quick coastal prepping tip. First thing, water's unpredictable. You think you're safe, then a storm surge comes in faster than your uncle at an all-you-can-eat buffet. You need a grab bag. Waterproof, easy to carry, a battery-powered radio, no, not your Spotify on a Bluetooth speaker, and somewhere high to get to when things get hairy. And if you're one of those sad gits with a 12-foot beach caster, a flotation suite, right? Let's see how our Felicity's getting on with the seagulls.
Hello.
Hello, Felicity. Are you there?
Hello, Dougie. Yes, I'm here on the harbour side, and oh dear, will this fish smell ever come out of my coat? Anyway, I'm joined by Mike from the RNLI to talk about coastal preparedness for locals and for any preppers daft enough to think bugging out means rowing to France. Hello, Mike. Thanks for taking the time to talk to PPFM. So, Mike, please tell our listeners what it's like working for the RNLI and life at sea.
Hello Felicity, hello big man, I love the show. Well, living by the sea means storms, strong tides, flooding and the occasional bit of human chaos. We've hauled in swimmers who misjudged the tide, a bloke floating on a lilo, even someone trying to row across in a plastic dinghy. And then of course there's the stag boats, not just one mind, seems to be a whole trend these days. More than one boatload of 90 lads claiming it was a party that got a bit lost. All hungover, all asking for a hotel and fry-up once we got them ashore. We're not here to judge, but I'd suggest they keep the next party inland. Trouble is, these young'uns just don't seem to listen.
Oh my word, that sounds frightful. Tell me, Mike, do you ever have to prepare for, well, big groups turning up at once?
Absolutely. It's not just one-off rescues anymore. Sometimes it feels like a package holiday out there. We plan for anything. Coastal defence, emergency rescues, mass arrivals. I've even had to brush up on my French and Arabic. Out here, you've got to be ready for the lot.
Mass arrivals? Goodness, that sounds like the worst cocktail party I've ever heard of.
Not quite the same, and unlike a cocktail party, you can't just slip away when it gets awkward.
Must be a trend, these nautical stag night blunders. Maybe if the lads eased off the shots, the RNLI wouldn't need such a big taxi service. So what Mike's saying is, the sea's unpredictable, and it's not just bad weather you've got to watch out for. Felicity, how are those heels holding up on the pontoon?
Not well, Dougie. I seem to have left one behind.
Lovely. You'll be hopping back to the car then.
Next time, I'll bring wellies.
Good lass. Right. Cheers, Mike. Cheers, Felicity. Try not to drown on the way home.
Excuse me, darling. I've still got to do the on-location weather forecast.
If you insist, come get on with it. What's the sky looking like?
No, darling, I'm not looking up. Those dreadful seagulls are pooing everywhere. And now for today's weather. Cold, wet and windy. Now over to you, Dougie.
Thanks, Felicity. Mind those goals. So, there you have it. RNLI, the real deal. Remember, coastal prepping's not just about the Kraken apocalypse. It's about staying alive when the tide turns against you. Literally. Right, let's hear from some of you lot. Phone lines are open. You can call 074-9747-1454. So, while we are waiting for our first caller, let's have a word.
When the unexpected happens, will you be ready? At the Bug Out Shop, we've got everything you need to prepare for emergencies, adventures, and the unknown. From survival gear and water purification to bug out bags and tools, trusted kit for real preparedness. Don't wait for the crisis to come to you. Get to thebugout.co.uk today and get prepared. Your survival starts here, and you can use promo code PPFM01 for a 10% discount on your next purchase.
Hello, caller. Who have we got here then?
Hello, Dougie. It's Tony here. Tony from Cornwall.
All right, Tony from Cornwall. What's your coastal prep plan then?
Well, Dougie, I keep a kayak in the back garden. If the floods come in, I'm paddling to the pub.
Right, if priorities sorted then. But seriously, good idea if you know how to use it. A kayak's quiet, doesn't need petrol, and you can sneak around roadblocks, or, get to Lidl when everyone else is trapped.
Exactly. Dougie, I've even got a waterproof box for me phone and sandwiches.
Class! Just make sure you don't end up as the headline, "Local man rescued after mistaking Atlantic for canal." Bye for now. Thanks for the call. Not sure why you called with that bit of exciting prep. Who's next to call in? Hello, caller. Who are you and what's your call about?
Hi, I'm Sarah from Whitby.
Sarah and Whitby, you're live. What's the setup?
Hi, Dougie. Fantastic to talk to you. I'm a huge fan. My call's about my garden shed flood shelter.
Well, go ahead, Sarah.
Well, my shed's on high ground, so I've turned it into a little flood shelter. Sleeping bag, bottled water, snacks, and a portable loo.
Posh shed then. Is it the wooden type, or the plastic job that falls over when the wind blows harder than by sister-in-law?
It's wooden and bolted down. I've even got a tiny solar panel on the roof for lights.
Now, that's thinking ahead. Just remember, if the flood gets really high, you might have to fight off the seagulls. Great to have our first sensible caller on the show. So, Tell me, Sarah, where exactly is your shed?
Inside the ruins of Whitby Abbey.
You crazy cat. Thanks for your call, Sarah. Who's next on the line? We have caller 3. Who do we have?
Hi Dougie, I'm Gary from Plymouth.
Hi, Gary in Plymouth. What's your contribution to coastal survival?
Well, I keep 3 marine flares in the loft, just in case I need to signal.
Gary, mate, if you're in the loft and need to let someone know you're in trouble, a flare might not be your first choice indoors, unless you like the idea of explaining to the fire brigade why your ceiling's on fire.
Fair point, I thought they'd be handy.
They are, but keep them dry, keep them legal, and for the love of sanity, use them outside. Otherwise, your rescue will just be a different type of disaster. Thanks for the call, so on to caller 4. Caller 4. Who do we have? Edmondo from Tin Titan.
Hi, Dougie. I'm on my yacht. Second hand, obviously. Well, actually a little boat, and I'm all at sea. And the toilet's blocked up. Any suggestions?
For the love of God, didn't you ever go to school? Sounds like you've shit it. You're too far out to call Dino Rod. I suggest you phone a friend, if you've got one, and get them to claim salvage rights. Well, we now have come to the end of our live call-in segment. Thank Christ. Let's move on rather quickly to wet feet wisdom. And Edmundo, this could be worth a listen to. Right, before we dip into your daft emails, let's just talk about what we've learned today. Apart from the fact that Felicity thinks a life jacket is something you wear to a life well-being seminar, if you live near a big lump of water, coast, lake, river, you've got 2 main problems: getting wet when you don't want to, and things arriving on the tide that you didn't invite. So, here's some no-nonsense wet feet wisdom. Waterproof kit, not just the jacket, but the bag, the matches, the batteries. If it gets wet and stops working, it's useless. Wrap it in dry bags or double freezer bags if you're cheap. Evac routes. Know 2 ways inland that don't involve wading. Floodwater is not just water, it's basically soup made of sewage, oil, and dead stuff. Avoid it. Floaty things, if you're storing a dinghy, kayak, or even a big tire tube, make sure it's actually inflated and seaworthy when you need it. Seen too many folk attempt to inflate theirs after the wave hits. Not clever. Tide tables and weather apps. Boring, aye. But they'll tell you if you're about to get your garden redecorated by the sea. Food storage. Salt air ruins stuff faster than you think. Keep it sealed in plastic tubs, not cardboard boxes. Know your mayday from your pan-pan. Shouting help during a force 6 gale won't cut it. And for the love of all that's holy, stop thinking you can ride the waves in your shed. I've seen sheds halfway to Norway after a good storm. Unless you want to start a new life as a drifting troll, head uphill, right? Now that I've scared half the seaside towns, including Tracy, who sells cockles on the pier, let's get into your emails and see what ridiculous things you lot have asked this week.
You've got an email, ding ding. You've got an email, ding ding. I said, you've got an email, ding ding.
Now to the bag of doom. Who do we have here then? Email number 1, it's Frank from Bangor. Hi Frank, let's see what I have to spout on about. He asks, do life jackets expire? Short answer, yes. The foam ones can last years, but the inflatable gas cylinder type need checking at least once a year. Straps rot, seams split, and if you've not tested it since you bought it in 2003, you're basically wearing a fancy bib. Email number 2, we have Polly from Peckham. Come on, Davey, is this for real? Hey, pretty Polly. Before you put the kettle on, squawk away. Hi Doug, can I turn a builder's rubble skip into a boat? Technically, yes, but you live in Peckham. But if you remove the rubble, they'll float and sort off. Build a proper raft instead, or just buy a dinghy, preferably not Edmondo's, as you'll end up right up shit creek. Attentively, an eBay purchase is better than a visit to Davy Jones's locker. Email number 3, from Kathy from California. California. Kathy, why are you asking advice from a jock in a shed? Her brave question is, what's the best way to store food near the coast? Salt air and damp will ruin your supplies quicker than a seagull at a picnic. You want sealed tins, vacuum-packed stuff, and absolutely no rice left open unless you enjoy weevils. Bonus tip, keep your stash in a moisture-proof box with silica gel packets. That way, your emergency supplies don't turn into an ecosystem. Email number 4, Jerry from Londonderry. He asks, should I keep fishing gear? Absolutely. But don't assume you'll suddenly turn into Captain Birdseye when the shop's shut. Practice now. If your idea of fishing is standing with a rod while eating chips, you're in for a shock. Learn to gut, clean, and cook what you catch. Otherwise, you've just spent 3 hours feeding the fish instead of yourself. Excellent. Another session done. Davey, how many weeks have I got left to run?
22.
What? God help me. When you have a spare 10 minutes, book that booze cruise. I think I'm going to need all the duty-free whiskey I can get my hands on. Sutton 22, for the love of Neptune. Any road shipmates? Let's get this shipwreck of a show over with and get us poor souls ashore, so it's Dougie wrap-up time. Alright, that's us for another one. Today we've learned that Felicity can't dress for the weather, Mike's rescued some right interesting characters, putting it mildly, and finally, you should probably check where the nearest high ground is before you need it. Don't forget our new live telephone number for your text or voice messages, and our new email address for your statements of absolute madness. Make them sensible, cause if they're not, you're gonna get roasted. Next week on Proper Prepper FM, radios, whistles, and occasionally yelling at satellites. Email ppfmbroadcast@gmail.com or message us on 07497471454 with your strangest radio chatter or most useless walkie-talkie purchase. Till next week then, Slangvar.
Well, ladies and gents, that's all the nonsense we can squeeze into one episode. You've been listening to Proper Prepper FM. Equal parts comedy, tragedy, and something in between. If you've got nothing better to do next week, and let's be honest, you probably haven't, then tune in again for more sarcasm and silliness. Until then, take care, stay strange, and thanks for pretending this was worth your time.
And that's your lot. If you laughed, learned, or at least didn't drown, hit like, share it with your mates, and subscribe so Dougie can keep paying me in crisps and sarcasm. If you didn't like it, fine. Go watch a man on TikTok teach his cat to swim. Same energy. See you next week, tide permitting. Imagine this, if you had to bug out by sea, what's your ride? Kayak, dinghy, or an Edmondo booze cruise? Stick it in the comments. See you laters.